Hello, loves. I'm KV, and I wanted to talk to you about our apothecary line today because we've been getting so many questions. Actually, since I rebranded them as potion drops, we're getting so many questions. So I was like, I really need to clear this up. Um, People are like, oh, help me through this, help me through this, and so I want to start by kind of talking about what these are and how you work with them and what's going to happen in your life when you get to experience what they do for you. So basically, they're plant medicine remedies. That means they're from the earth. They're like flower essences. They're things, especially when it's flower essences, I describe those as like smoking pot, and how it's this thing that's going to kind of come in and lift you and do these things, but then it's going to kind of waft out. It's not something that's actually doing something and changing you, although they do over time, but it's not something that's like, this is going to come in and, that. It's going to come in and kind of help you do this other thing. It's going to kind of come in and help give you energy, help shift you to another perspective, help you feel grounded, help you be around people and talk. So that's the first thing. They're plants. They're from the earth. Another thing is that what's really magical about them is you only actually need a couple drops. So that's where the potion drops came about, because I wanted to instill that this is things that you can do with like 2 or 3 drops. And it's really about adding this ingredient into your body, getting that effervescence that helps you do these things. And then you're going to start creating these patterns where you do naturally do them. A great example is with Empath Shield. That was our first potion we created in 2013. It's still our number one potion, because what it does is it seals your space so that you don't feel anybody around you. You don't feel their energies. But what it does is it opens your heart so that you do feel yourself. And we did that because Rosie addressed in this potion that when you're an empath, you close your heart down. So without me even having her do that, she knew to add ingredients that would help us open our hearts when we're an empath. So when I first started that one, when we first got that potion, it was hard for me to get out of the car to go do errands. It would just be like, I don't want to be around anybody. I'm so uncomfortable. Feeling all their energies is like having me collapse. I can't handle life because of them, So I told her, I said, can you create this for us? So she took like a year creating this. First time I tried it, I took some drops and I went into a Whole Foods, and I was a chatty Cathy. I was talking to everyone. I'm like looking for people to need help. I was totally like, oh my God. And you can feel this heat in your heart. I was just like, oh my gosh, I feel so good. And I just want to talk and I just love everybody. And I came racing home and was like, Rosie, oh my gosh, this is such an amazing potion. And if you go and read our reviews, everybody says the same thing. And we have like 1,300 reviews in our Etsy shop. So they've all been saying that. But basically, here's the thing. What I noticed is that I used that potion for about a year, and I have never needed it again. And it's like 6 years later. I've never needed it again. I love going to stores. I love doing errands. I never freak out like I used to. I never have those uncomfortable situations like I don't want to be in anybody else's energy. Like taking that and working with the plants that were in Empath Shield got me to not need it anymore. Got me to not even be like an empath like that anymore, to where how the world doesn't really make me collapse. So that was when I was like, whoa, they shift you over time. When you work with these plants, they actually shift you. And, I addressed that for a while years ago, I would say that, because I noticed I did. And everybody who takes Empath Shield says the same thing. They'll be like, I don't need it anymore. I noticed that I don't need it anymore. But anyway, so then what happened was in the past couple years, I started working with Blossom. Blossom was one I was never even attracted to for 5 years. I was like, yeah, I like it, but it didn't do anything for me. I started working with Blossom because I wanted to be brave to ask this guy out. And I was like, I need some help or something. And something told me, use Blossom. And I took Blossom and I was hooked on it from that day forward. And I took it for a year. I did it like daily for a year, or not daily, but I took it for a year. And it was because it felt so good. I was like, oh my gosh, I feel amazing. Like it was an overwhelming, sweet, sweet feeling. And Blossom helps you blossom, but it lowers your heat. It lowers these things where you're actually going to malfunction or get mad or not be able to handle life, but it also helps you open to your true nature. That's why I was like, let me try this to make me use my voice in asking this person out. And so I used that one for like a year. And at the same time, we had our new potion, Magic 11, come out, which nobody even knows about it yet because I was using it for a year because I also like to use them for a while before we talk about them. Rosie takes like a year to make them, and I take months to see what we need to tweak to make them better But anyway, so I was using Blossom and Magic 11, and Magic 11 helps us change patterns. So with Magic 11, it's going to help you move out of one thing and into another. I actually wanted to call it out of it, into it. I think is what I had wanted to do for a while, and Rosie didn't like that at all. She was never in agreement over that because I always name them. Like I come up with the concept, she creates them, I test them, I name them, and I bring them to you guys. But she didn't like that. And it was finally when I used it for something. I can't remember what it was, but it was something that shifted a pattern with me. And then I was like, oh, it was because of the 11, because the 11 is, such a magical number, but it's also where they have to walk the most challenging times in life. So I was like, oh, that's perfect that this is kind of a potion that's going to help you change something. It's going to help you change from those habits you don't want to do. Anyway, the last year I was working with Blossom and Magic 11, and I was like, the other day, I was like, oh my gosh, everybody's seen it. You've all seen me transform. And I was like, oh my gosh, this last year, I have totally blossomed. I'm now alkaline vegan. I did the 40-day fast. I have completely transformed my life. I live my life different. My house looks different. Everything looks different in my life. And I was like, oh my gosh. And everybody knows that I've blossomed. Like I really feel like myself. I've never felt this good in my body, in my mind, in my everything. I feel so amazing in life. And I'm almost nearing 50, so I'm also like, wow, this is getting better. This is like really amazing. But it hit me the other day that I was like, wow, I was working with Blossom and Magic 11. I've blossomed and I'm in completely different patterns in life. And I was like, whoa, these things are so powerful. So that's what they are. That's how they work. Basically, what it is, too, is how you use them. It's good to have little bottles of them and to really kind of go towards the ones that you want most, like the things that you need to work on most. Because that's the thing, too, is we created these because if you're not comfortable in the world, you're not going to be able to manifest what you want. If you can't go into those stores, you're not going to manifest the joy that is available. If you can't blossom to your true nature, you're not going to blossom like you see I have. You're not going to be able to do those things. If you're feeling so sad and upset over things, you're not going to be able to go out and do these other things. And our potions address, we even have that one that's called lightning bolt, and that's when you have sadness. That's what a lot of people need right now. They need lightning bolt. We created that one to ground you when life is hard so that you just sway like a tree and you're able to handle like the branches, what's going on, while you stay strong that I will get through this. This isn't going to break me. This is making me stronger. The first thing when I got to test that one was Moon Bear dying. It had been sitting around for like several months and I didn't have anything to test it with. I didn't need grounding. And then she died and I went through bottles of it and it helped me so much. That's when I was like, wait, this is a mood elevator. Because I would notice it was like an antidepressant. I just felt more hopeful. So with those two, like with Magic 11, if I want to change a pattern, what I'm going to do is if I'm thinking about it right now, like I don't want to do this thing, I'm going to go take 1, 2, or 3 drops, just a little bit, as I say, no, that was the old way. I don't do that anymore. I'm doing this. And that's what you do with the plants. You send them into the area of what you want them to do. The same with crystals, it's magic like that. And we use crystals with a lot of our potions too. But I'm going to stop now because I want to get this under 10. If you have any more questions, reach out. We're even going to help you kind of pick potions for you, especially if you only can get a couple or one. Okay, love you. Bye.